Hey guys, I'm back with a new video. I know it's been a little while since I've done a new video. Well, I do have a couple of videos planned, but right now those videos are on hold right now because I need to buy some movies in order to do those videos. And so, since I got some free time on my hand right now, I thought maybe I would do a couple of these videos that I can do right now. So, I'm going to do a video for best and worst horror remakes, as well as also best and worst horror sequels, but they're going to be individual videos. They're not going to be all in one video. So I thought maybe I'd start out with the worst horror remakes, in my personal opinion. So like, this is actually videos I wanted to do for a while, but never found the time. I decided to do other videos instead. But since I got some free time now, I thought I'd do this one now. And so I know a lot of people have already done videos like this, but I thought I'd do mine because and I know there's probably gonna be disagreements as well because I know you're not gonna be seeing certain remakes on this list, like the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. I didn't really hate that movie, but I didn't really like it either. It was like, okay. I mean, there was stuff I did like about it, but stuff I didn't like about it. So I'm indifferent with that remake. So you won't be seeing it on this list. And also the remake of The Fog as well, which, as you may know, I kind of do like. I mean, I've mentioned that in a couple of videos I did years back. And I did recently rewatch the movie in order to see if maybe my opinion changes. But while I did spot some problems with that movie, but overall I still kind of do like the movie. So you won't be seeing it on this list. And here's actually something I want to address on before we get started. A couple years back I did a review video of the last Hellraiser movie, Hellraiser Revelations, which personally I did like for what it was. And I know a lot of people hated that movie, but personally I did like it, despite its flaws. But I got some nasty comments on that video, and one of them, I'm not trying to call this person out though, but one of them was this person saying that I have notes on the back of the Blu-ray box. I taped notes back there, or I just watched someone else's review. So this person was accusing me of cheating. Well, I wasn't though. I wasn't cheating. I wasn't taping notes of any sort on the back of the box or watching other people's reviews. I did my own. It's really hard to accept that. I just did my own review. But this video, I will actually show I'm using notes. So what? Big deal. So if you want to accuse me of using notes, there, I said it. I used notes. But whatever. So, without further ado, let's get started now. So the first two I'm going to list are two that I can actually tolerate. So they're bad remakes, but I can kind of tolerate them, and I'll explain why. So the first one, and this is no in particular order, I should also mention too. First one is The Wicker Man. That one was a pretty bad remake to a pretty good, I think it was a 70s movie, pretty good original movie, but this remake was just pretty bad. But I can tolerate it because, well, Nicolas Cage, what else can I say? Nicolas Cage, gave a very over-the-top performance, one that I can just really laugh at, but everyone else's performance was just very bland, very boring. So, most of the movie was boring, except for Nicolas Cage just, shouting his lines, going over the top, especially with the whole, no, no, not the bees, ah! That was just a scene I could just really laugh at. So, I can tolerate the movie, but it's overall a pretty bad remake. The next one is, another one I can also tolerate a little bit, is the remake of Day of the Dead. Now, I can tolerate this one just a little bit because, I liked the lighting in this movie, the atmosphere. I also did like the cast, especially from Nick Cannon, and they also got Ving Rhames. However, they didn't really take advantage that they had Ving Rhames in the movie, because he was also in the remake of Dawn of the Dead, a better remake, I might add. And I know it wasn't a sequel to the remake of Dawn of the Dead, it was its own movie, but I felt they could have taken advantage of it, but they didn't though. It's like, he's just in it just to die. But like, the problems with this movie was like, all the really bad visual effects, like, all the CGI effects looked like they were right out of a PlayStation 2. Some like very bad fire explosions, pretty bad zombie effects, like some of the makeup. Even though some of the makeup was okay, but there was also some like, pretty bad like scenes with like zombies crawling on walls, very cartoony looking. As well as also like the gore effects are pretty bad as well. But one thing I did like is there were little nods to the original movie, like them going down the underground bunker at the end, as well as also the nod to the zombie Bub from the original movie. But this one it was Bud, so he was a good zombie in this one, just like in the original movie. But they actually explained it better in the original movie that he became good. He stopped eating people because he was getting trained by the scientists. In this one, he's just a vegetarian, and that's it. Vegetarian zombie with no explanation. So I can tolerate it just a little bit, but overall it's a pretty bad remake. Okay, but the rest of these are ones I can't tolerate though. So I can tolerate those first two, but rest I can't. So now let's get into the ones that are really bad. Okay, so next one is When a Stranger Calls. Now I liked the original movie, like the original 70s movie. But this one was just like, I did not like the main girl in it. She didn't act scared at all in the movie. And like, the original movie wasn't just her babysitting and a killer calls them and then like, kills the kids and whatnot. But, like, the original movie had actually more to it. Like, we had some backstory on the killer. We had, the main girl, like, besides her just babysitting, like, cuts to years later and she grows up and has kids of her own that gets stalked by the killer again. Like, this one just basically takes the beginning of the original movie and just makes it to the entire movie. Also, like, some of the lines from the original movie felt forced as well. That have you check the children, and also there was a line from the original movie, I want your blood all over me. This one just felt forced. Like, this one also didn't have any story for the killer at all. We don't know who the killer is at all. So, that's just one that I did not like at all. The next one is Pulse. That's a remake to a Japanese movie. This remake starred Kristen Bell. So, like, the original movie was pretty creepy, pretty atmospheric. This one didn't have any atmosphere to it. This one was just basically ghosts in a computer. Like, I didn't like the look of the ghosts in this remake. This looked very generic looking, very CGI-ish, very cheesy looking. And also, everyone in the movie gave a very bad performance. And while Kristen Bell may be a good actress, but she just underperformed in this one, so wasn't a good movie. Now we'll also get into another Japanese remake to Shudder. This one was pretty bad as well. Like, in the original movie, the ghost looked like she wanted revenge on the main guy, while this one, she just looked like she just really wanted to have sex with him. So I didn't find this one scary at all. This one was just pretty boring. This one was just pretty lazy as well, because they had, like, some very bad CGI effects in this one. So I did not like this one at all. And next we have April Fool's Day. Now, I did like the original 80s April Fool's movie, but, I mean, it wasn't, like, the best slasher movie ever made or anything like that, but it was a fun movie, so the original April Fool's Day was a good movie overall. But this one just was like, And I Know What You Did Last Summer ripoff movie. Like, it was basically the same story as that. And, like, and it was extremely, extremely predictable as well. And also with terrible death scenes as well. Now, I mean also that it was very predictable is that, like, I basically saw everything coming a mile away. Because if you saw the original movie, you would see everything in this one just coming a mile away. Like, they could have done something different, but overall they just made a pretty generic slasher movie with this one. Alright, and that's all I gotta really say about that one. Okay, and next one is the remake of House of Wax. Now, I really did like the original movie from, pretty sure it was the 50s, I think, or the 60s. That starred Vincent Price, and I think it's one of Vincent Price's best movies, along with other movies like The Fly, House on Haunted Hill, Dr. Phibes, Pit and the Pendulum. So this is like, this is one of Vincent Price's best movies, but this one, like, was just another generic slasher movie, so, like, just basically taking a generic slasher movie and slapping a movie's, like, an old movie's name on it, so it's basically passing it off as a remake to that movie. So, I mean, the only real nods to, like, the original movie was, like, other than, like, the wax museum and whatnot, like, putting people in wax, but also was, like, naming the killer Vincent as a little nod to Vincent Price. So, I will admit I did like their little nod to Vincent Price with that whole thing, but that's it. Because in the original movie, they explained why they take, they, like, kill people and then put them up in their wax museums for, like, basically tourism to, like, make money. Well, this one, they didn't explain why they kill people, then cover them in wax for a wax museum, because they're living in an abandoned town. Do they really expect people to take a tour in an abandoned town? Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, the next one is the remake of Black Christmas. And it's a remake to another horror movie I like from the 70s. I just really liked how the original movie was shrouded in mystery. Like, we don't know who the killer is at all. And ends with us not knowing who the killer is. So, like, we're thinking maybe the killer is a boyfriend of one of the girls, or maybe the killer is just a complete random stranger who just breaks into the sorority house. Which, that's who I think it is, just a random stranger, random crazy guy. Well, this one, we already know who the killer is. They explain too much. They, so, like, this took away all the suspense. I also hated the killing in this one. It was very, ridiculous. I mean, the killer kills a guy with a candy cane, and there's also a kill with a Christmas tree. There's also that line that they say throughout the movie, "You're my family now," which I don't know what that even means at all. So that was terrible dialogue, as well as also there was this one line that actually made me laugh. It says, "It tastes like chicken because it is chicken." So ridiculous dialogue as well. The next one is the remake of The Hitcher, which is the only Platinum Dunes remake that I really dislike out of all their remakes. I mean, like, I liked the original Hitcher as well. I mean, the one that starred Rutger Hauer and C. Thomas Howell. Like, Rutger Hauer gave a really good performance in that one. He was very scary, very threatening, very intimidating. Like, C. Thomas Howell was actually intimidated by Rutger Hauer while they filmed that movie, so the fear you saw on C. Thomas Howell's face was actual fear. In this one stars Sean Bean from Lord of the Rings. And I like Sean Bean as an actor, but in this one, he just underperformed. He was miscast. He was just not the right person for the role. I don't know who could have played the role, but it just wasn't him, though. The only thing he did was just copy Rutger Hauer's performance. And also, another thing I hate is, like, since in the original movie, C. Thomas Howell was on his own through most of the movie. There was scenes where he did have some help, but through most of the movie, he was on his own. In this one, there was two main characters, so it was like a 2-on-1 fight. I felt they could have taken him. And also, like, they just recreated some stuff from the original movie, just showing gore. That's, like, the only thing that's different with recreating it, just you show the gore. I don't think you really need to show the gore. We could have just kept it in our heads. The next one is the remake of It's Alive. Excuse me. Like, this It's Alive remake was just so stupid. I did not like the main girl in it, as well as also the main guy. I didn't like the two main characters. I also did not like The gore effects were very cheesy looking. The effects for the monster baby were extremely, extremely cheesy. So, like, as well as also it was very boring around the middle of the movie. So I did not find this movie scary at all. It was just extremely cheesy, extremely low budget looking. I just did not like it at all. The next one is the TV remake of Carrie, not the latest remake with Chloe Grace Moretz, the TV one with Angela Bassett. Well, Angela Bassett may have done a good job as Carrie, but the rest of the cast just looked very bland. They didn't do a good job at all. Some of the effects for her telekinesis were very cheesy as well. I also didn't like when during the whole prom massacre at the end, she made a force field for her. Well, I get it that she made it so she doesn't get electrocuted, but in the original movie, she didn't make a force field, so it was like making it look like she was unstoppable. I also did not like the ending as well, which I know that they were doing that ending because they were hoping to like make some kind of TV series, so they were leading into a TV series sequel to this movie. But because this movie did very badly, the plans for that TV series sequel, they were canceled. Well, good thing, good riddance on that. Next one I chose was the remake of Children of the Corn. And much like some of my other ones, I have a complaint with the two main characters. Like, they were just all out annoying. Like, they just argued with each other throughout the movie. They had no chemistry whatsoever. As well as also, like, I thought the film locations were pretty cheesy looking. The sets were pretty cheesy looking. As well as also, like, it was just an overall boring movie as well. I didn't find anything scary looking. I wasn't really a fan of the kid who played Isaac in this one, because the kid who played Isaac in the original movie was like, he was like one of the best things in that movie. Gave a really good performance. So I wasn't really a fan of the kid who played Isaac or the kid who played Malachite either. The next one I chose is the remake of Prom Night. Now this one has got to be one of the worst slasher ones I've seen in years. Like, I did not like the killer in this one, because, like, the only thing he really wants to do is just basically stalk this girl, and basically he falls in love with her. One of his students, I should actually say, falls in love with one of his students, and the only thing he wants to do is just basically have sex with her. And, like, all the death scenes in the movie were, like, very cheesy. Like, there was just him grabbing them and then them screaming, and it goes off scream. Like, then we just see, like, their dead bodies covered in some blood. And that's really all it is. So very bad death scenes, very bad story, and just an overall, like, very bad villain. Like, I did not like the killer in this one either. Matter of fact, one thing I also did not like is that, like, since they had, like, mugshots of him in this movie, they were, like, showing, like, he escaped, and, like, he was, like, basically going to the prom to, like, to get to the girl. And so, like, some people, like, actually see him. They don't recognize him. They don't. The whole thing his disguises is just a hat. A hat. And so they don't recognize him. Like, none of the people recognize him for, like, maybe, like, the wanted signs or anything. So, and I think that's all I gotta say. Like, there's enough dwelling on that one. The next one I chose is the remake of The Omen. So, while there were some differences in this one, but mainly it just really followed the original movie, nearly right down to the nitty gritty. It was like all the same stuff, the same dialogue, the same characters. Basically, I saw, like, basically everything coming, because it was right out of the original movie. The same ending as well, which I was hoping they wouldn't do. As well as also, I did not like the cast. They'd all underperformed. Liev Schreiber, Julia Stiles. I don't know this actor, he played the photographer. He gave a very bad performance. Here's actually something that gets me as well, is that the late great Roger Ebert, who was one of my favorite critics, he gave the original movie a bad review, but this remake a good review, which I don't get at all. While he's entitled to his own opinion, but I don't get it, because it was like the same movie all over again. So if you disliked it the first time around, wouldn't you dislike it the second time around too? Or was it like, did you regret giving the original movie a bad review, so you give this one a good review? Okay, so basically, like, this remake of The Omen just really pissed me off, and the director of this movie later on directed Max Payne, very bad action movie, very bad adaptation of a video game, and he also made the last Die Hard movie, A Good Day to Die Hard, which ruined one of my favorite action series. So that's one. That's one way you can figure out it's gonna be bad. You got a terrible director. Well, the next one is the number one worst horror remake, and so I saved it for last. The number one worst horror remake is. It's a tie between the remake of Psycho and the remake of Cabin Fever. So this one was a tie because they were both basically the same thing, both shot-for-shot remakes, pointless remakes. And you remember I did do the little rant review with my friend Alex on the remake of Cabin Fever. Both me and him hated that movie. And I even mentioned that, did this whole shot-for-shot thing work so well for Psycho that you had to do it for Cabin Fever? No, you did not. In ways, Cabin Fever was worse than Psycho. But also in ways, Psycho was worse than Cabin Fever. The ways that they're worse, the ways that Cabin Fever was worse, that, every actor in it gave a very bad performance, as well as also, there were some subplots that went nowhere as well, and as well as there was also no tension, no suspense, and the gore effects were very terrible. So that's got some ways that it's worse. Because, Psycho did have some good performances, but there was also bad performances too. The ways that Psycho was worse, while Cabin Fever wasn't 100% shot for shot, there was, minor differences. Well, Psycho, on the other hand, was complete shot for shot. Everything from the original movie was there. So, you basically see, if you saw the original movie, then you've seen this one. Everything from the beginning right to the end of the original movie was in this remake. So, there was no surprise, nothing at all. But, one advantage it has over the Cabin Fever remake was, well, there were some good performances, and also the fact that Cabin Fever, the original Cabin Fever, was only 14 years old, while this Psycho, on the other hand, was around maybe 30 years old before they remade it. So they at least had the decency of waiting that long, but they could have remade it a different way. They could have do something original, not take the screenplay, then remake it. They could have just, heck, they could have, if anything, they could have just re-released the original movie colorized. That would have been a better idea. So while both of them have, their advantages over the other one, I just think they're both tied. Both Psycho and Cabin Fever are both tied for number one worst horror remake. Both of them were very pointlessly made. Both of them had terrible acting. Both of them had some bad gore effects. And both of them were just not worth watching. So, if you want to watch either of those two, don't. Watch the original ones. And that's all I gotta say for this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And so stay tuned for the best horror remakes as well as the sequels one coming up. Alright, see ya.